everyone, it's Monica. Welcome back to Homeschool Voices. Today I'm going to be talking about parent enthusiasm. So if you're like me and you're type A, you might think, why do I need to be enthusiastic? I mean, this is what I need to do and I'm just going to find a way to do it and I'm going to make it happen. Or you're like a lot of other people and you think, oh, my kid likes it, so that's what's important, or my kid doesn't like it, so that's what's important. So I'm just going to give you another perspective, and that perspective is how essential it is that whoever's doing the teaching, whether it's mom or dad, that you are enthusiastic about what you're teaching. And that might be a little overstating, so maybe I should say that you don't dread it. And I think if any of you have been homeschooling for a while, you know what I'm talking about. There's certain workbooks or certain curriculums that you just dread with your entire being. I don't want to do it. And it's likely that your kid doesn't like it either, because if it's that bad that you hate it, your kid probably hates it too. So what are the chances that your kid is gonna like? Is they're gonna like this thing that you're trying to get them to do if you're dreading it and you hate it? Probably pretty slim, right? That's what I think. I think it is vitally important that whoever's doing the teaching has to have some level of enthusiasm, and at the very least, you cannot hate what you're doing. You have to kind of like it a little bit. I'll give you an example. We were doing Right Start Math. Now, if you've watched my videos, you know that I love Right Start Math. I think it is really good. I think it teaches kids about math and it teaches them to really understand math. So I love it. But it has a script that you are supposed to read every day. I have it right here. Right Start Math. What are we on now? Level F. Here it goes. So, warm up. Ask what strategies can you use to find 15 minus 8? Going up. 2 to get to 10. 2 plus 5 equals 7. Taking part from 10. 5 from 5. Okay, I'm sorry. Are you getting bored? Because I'm already bored. I'm bored. And it's not something that is wrong with Right Start. It's something that's wrong with me. Right Start is really good, and the way that they approach the stuff is great. And if you have a lot of energy, I think you should go through this script every day, but I only think you should do it if you're enthusiastic about it, because if you're not, you'll make it boring like I probably did, and you'll ruin it for your kid. So what I did was I just took Right Start Math, and I took the workbook pages, and I just gave my kids the workbook pages, and when they needed help, we went through it. That said, with Right Start Math, for the first year or two, I would try to get some enthusiasm and go through those lessons with the kids, because I feel like they're more valuable at the younger years. My point is, it wasn't working for me, and so I changed it. And now, I'm fine with it. The kids do it, and they're fine with it. I wouldn't say they love it, but just think, if the kids don't love it and you're dreading it, that dread is gonna rub off on them and they're gonna really hate it. So make sure that you don't dread it. So lately I have been doing something that has been working really well that I wanna share with you guys. Every morning I do about an hour, 2 at the most, probably more like an hour, and I just spend time working with my kids. I do it in the morning because if I don't do it in the morning, I lose them. It's just working on this thing, we're working on that thing. Nobody has ever completed with what they're working on at the same time. I just lose them. So I do it first thing in the morning. So what do I work on? Well, I think you need to ask yourself a couple questions. If there is something you are enthusiastic about that you would like to share with them, work on it. So for example, for the longest time, I had a hard time teaching creative writing to my kids. And I think creative writing is important, and I don't think it is taught enough. I think everyone focuses for so long and so heavily on nonfiction writing, such as reports or research papers, that they forget that an effective writer, nonfiction writer, has the ability to say things in an interesting or entertaining way. And you really hone that ability when you work on creative writing. So I'm not super good at creative writing. I'm fairly good at nonfiction writing, but I could be better at nonfiction. I never really did it much as a kid. And again, this goes into the whole question, how do you teach something you're not good at? Well, you try again. So I think it was probably a year of time where the only creative writing I had them do were poems, because I could kind of do that. And but then they mostly just did reports, either book reports or sort of a report on a historical figure or a historical event. So I didn't really do creative writing unless you count the handful of poems that they wrote. But I knew I needed to. I knew it was a problem. I knew I needed more structure. So I looked at all of these programs that are out there for homeschoolers. I'm not in love with anything that I've seen. I'm not saying there's nothing out there, but I'm not in love with anything that I've seen still. I asked friends. I did a lot of thinking. I'm always thinking about things, and I just couldn't find anything. Well, I made a video not long ago that you might check out, and I really made it for a friend to kind of just get you jump started into this whole homeschooling journey, and I gave a lot of advice. So when I was researching this video, I learned more about Easy Peasy All-in-One Homeschool. It is a free online curriculum. When I say online, I just mean that it's online. The kids don't really do their work online, but it's all laid out for the parent online. So I had known about this curriculum, but I didn't really know about it. So I started looking into it, and it's pretty impressive. I was kind of amazed. And so I looked into 7th grade because my son is in 7th grade, and into the literature arts section to see what they had. Now, as I have found with other curriculums, it tries to be everything. Language arts, when you say something is language arts and here's your language arts curriculum, that's a little dangerous, right? Because language arts is spelling, it's grammar, it's writing, it's reading, it's vocabulary. It's a lot of stuff, so it tries to be a little bit of everything. But at the end of the 7th grade curriculum, there's this whole section about writing a novel, which is super cool. And since it's free, it's supposed to be free, I grabbed the last couple months, I think, of that curriculum, and I added to it. I switched things around, and I made my own little how to write a novel curriculum. If you want it, I'll give it to you too. Since hers was free, my variation might as well be free too. Go to Facebook, go to Homeschool Voices, request to join. I'll accept it, and search for it. If you can't find it, just private message me or just make a post and ask for it, and I will give it to you again. Anyway, this curriculum that I made, I'm actually enthusiastic about. The lady who made Easy Peasy gave me the framework, and then I used this framework because she was doing this, but I did it more. I'm using it to teach characterization, to teach conflict, to teach about plot structure, to teach about similes and metaphors and alliteration and all of this cool stuff. And again, I have a book about all of those things, all of those things, and that gave me a lot of the ideas that I had. So my enthusiasm is rubbing off on my kids. And I started to realize that it's really important to have enthusiasm, because I couldn't even bear to make an assignment because I knew I would have to correct it. And I know if you've been homeschooling, you know what I mean. And if you're new to homeschooling, you'll see what I mean. I really had to be enthusiastic, and I am now. I'm so excited about this project. And even though my kids have complained, every time they sit down, and it's only been a few times, they complain, and then they get into it. And more than once, and it's only been a few days, my kids both have worked on the project outside of school hours, or whatever you want to say. They did more work than I required. They just said, oh, can I work on this? I said, sure, go ahead. So that just goes to show, because neither of my kids were interested in writing stories. And that just goes to show that if you have some enthusiasm, that can rub off on your kid. If you think, well, my kid doesn't like it, so I don't want to do it. I need to find something that works for them. sometimes you can get things to work for them, especially if they're valuable, if you're enthusiastic, because you can get it to rub off on them. And on a similar note, if you can find a framework to study things, that can help with the enthusiasm. So the framework here is writing a novel. But, you know, my 9-year-old's gonna write a novel, and my 12-year-old's gonna write a novel. It's gonna be a 9-year-old novel and a 12-year-old novel. But I promise you, they will remember all the things that I'm teaching them so much better than if I gave them a worksheet. Which is what, you know, the charter school that I just signed up with, that, you know, the way that they do things and the way the public schools do things is, here's a lesson on simile, and that's how I was doing it. But when you're thinking about similes that you can use in your own story that you're heavily invested in, then it's a little different. And I just think it's more effective. I think you learn better and you remember more. And are our kids gonna remember everything? Nope. And you really, really, really cannot determine exactly what they remember anyway. But I think if you have a framework, you're gonna have more enthusiasm, and I think they're more likely to learn more and remember more. So a framework, let's think of history. What would a framework be? Well, what about studying communism? The history of communism. So instead of just learning about what happened in Russia, like the history of Russia, we'll say, and just everything in a chronological order. This happened, and then this war, and then this dictator. How about you compare different countries that are communist and look at their histories and see what's the same and see what's different? Because I think when you have that sort of framework and you're looking at things in a way that isn't just a chronological order, if you're going to take history, it's better, and you can be more enthusiastic because it's more interesting. No, not everything can be interesting. You can't be enthusiastic about everything, but just don't get in a situation where you dread stuff. And also, don't go so extreme to where your kid has to be jumping for joy every time they do anything. I don't know that that's the best lesson to teach, because you're teaching your kids that things aren't worth doing unless they're absolutely thrilled. Make an effort to get enthusiastic. Make an effort to get your kids enthusiastic. And also don't feel that you have to do it with everything. So I've been sitting down with my kids for an hour or two a day. Okay, so we work on the novel that I talked about. We've been working on spelling. So this is the Logic of English, a little book here. They're cool. I like the Logic of English. Right here. And but it's not a book. It's like a brochure. And it's so cool. It has a phonogram and spelling rules. And so we just go through it. And you know, and when I start to get a little brain fry, we just move on and do something else. And my kids are 3 years apart, but I'm still able to use a little bit of competition. But you have to be wise about how you do it. And you know, obviously the 12-year-old should theoretically be a bit ahead than the 9-year-old, depending on the kids and the subject. But so we've been working on spelling and working on our novel. And a lot of times I will go through the anatomy book that we're working on and just read some of the information that goes along with the projects that we're doing, and then we will watch a couple videos. And then I'm just using this time to be with them. I feel it's important to have some discussion, and I think that helps with enthusiasm for everybody. So anyway, I just hope that this has been helpful to you. I hope that you really understand that you need to foster some excitement and some enthusiasm for you, not just for your kids, because your kids aren't gonna get into something if you hate it. So just work on that. Everything doesn't have to be perfect. Just one step at a time. Just try to work on inspiring your kids, motivating them, getting them excited. Obviously not with everything all at once, you know, so don't feel like you're a failure if your kids are being really negative about things. Just work on trying to improve things one step at a time and trying to get yourself excited about things one step at a time. And once you get more excited, you'll be able to get them more excited. I hope this video was helpful to you. If you liked it, please click thumbs up. And if you want to see more videos like this, please click subscribe and the notification bell next to it. In the meantime, happy homeschooling and have a great day.